truck time! Now, when a full-size truck is too big, too thirsty, and too expensive, you want to look at a mid-size truck. And the Toyota Tacoma and the Nissan Frontier are both great options, but which one is better? We're going to give you all the details and help you figure it out because we are the ones to ask.
Edmunds drives, tests, and rates hundreds of cars each year. As trusted experts, we've teamed up with CarMax to help you make the best car buying decision.
Now, both of these trucks are 2024 models, so that means we've got the latest generation of each. This one over here is the Toyota Tacoma. That's got a ton of off-road prowess and it has Toyota's famous reputation for reliability. But this one over here is its rival, the Nissan Frontier. This third generation truck sports a really strong V6 engine and plenty of towing capacity, but we're gonna get to that in just a bit. In both cases, the scores that came out of Edmunds testings show big improvements over the previous gen trucks that they replaced. So it is worth it to spend a little bit of extra cash going with one of these newer versions. And speaking of, if we're talking just about price here, the Nissan Frontier is the big winner. When we looked at the pricing data for 2024 models, you could save nearly $8,000 by going with the Frontier, and that is huge. In fact, for the average price of a used Tacoma, you could buy a pretty nice brand new Frontier, and that's a really big difference. Now, Toyota might have a reputation for reliability, but it's the Nissan Frontier that has actually proven its reliability. And for this, we go to RepairPal. They are an independent reliability tracker, and they gave the Tacoma 3.5 stars out of 5, ranking it 7th out of 7 for reliability among mid-sized trucks. The Frontier, well, that is in first place with a score of 4 stars out of 5. Otherwise, both trucks are very comparable when it comes to annual repair cost and frequency. But listen, there's no point in buying a truck that's affordable and reliable if you're not going to enjoy living with it every day, right? So let's go check out this Frontier. Now, we've already told you the reason to buy this Frontier, right? I mean, you cannot ignore that price difference if you're looking at these two vehicles on the used market. And frankly, that reliability rating, well, that's just a plus. But as for the rest of the truck, well, I mean, there's some things that we like here, but by and large, if it weren't for that amazing price, this truck probably would not be near the top of our list. For example, when we put this Frontier through the Edmunds testing process, the tech actually came out as one of the best qualities of this truck. And we also appreciate the physical controls that we've got here. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard, and we like the available 10-speaker Fender audio system, but the infotainment isn't great here. The menus are confusing, the graphics look dated, and even on this loaded Pro 4X model, you don't get a digital instrument cluster like you do in the competition. This is a system that would have looked dated even 5 years ago. And another thing we really like about the Frontier is the small item storage. Now, I know that might seem like making a mountain out of a molehill, but trust me, this kind of stuff is really what affects your day-to-day life. So I've got a nice little cubby here behind the shifter. It's enough for your phone, your wallets, whatever you need. And the cup holders are big enough as long as you got a skinny bottom cup, because this one doesn't quite fit. And in the back, you can flip up the rear seat for a little extra storage or keep them down, and there's decent space for passengers in car seats. But this kind of space is on the 4-door crew cabs. There is way less on the 2-door king cabs. Plus, obviously, you get all the advantage of all the truck stuff, like this bed. The Frontier and the Tacoma are almost identical here in available bed lengths and tie-down points. You get a basic tailgate, no crazy tri-fold contraptions like you might find in their bigger full-size counterparts. But what separates these two is that the Tacoma has a little more max payload capacity and the Frontier has a little more max towing capacity. So if weekends are more about camper trailers than home improvement projects, well, the Frontier gets an edge. Now, perhaps the biggest potential advantage here in the Frontier is right here. It is the V6 engine under the hood. Now, in all of our testing of the Tacoma, we found that turbocharged 4-cylinder engine gave better performance and better fuel economy. I mean, we really like that motor. However, we do recognize that some of you guys might want that old-fashioned grunt of a V6. But even if you do like this V6, driving the Frontier isn't great. The steering is really heavy and it takes a lot of effort to turn the wheels, so that makes low-speed maneuvers like parking and three-point turns somewhat tiresome. Plus, when you are parking, the quality of the backup camera is way below what you'd get in similar trucks. And you don't get as many driver's aids here as you do in those competitors either. There's also more tire and wind noise than what we've experienced in similar trucks. Now, when you look at the Frontier as a new truck, it is not very competitive. I mean, in Edmunds testing, it is at the very bottom of our list when you compare it to the likes of the Chevy Colorado, the Ford Ranger, and of course, the Toyota Tacoma. But when you look at this as a used truck, well, then that price difference makes the Frontier a very compelling choice. Now, the Tacoma, look, if you got the budget, this is a much better buy. Let me show you. First of all, much more modern tech here in the Tacoma, and if you get this available 14-inch touchscreen, it might look a little bit out of place, but what we really appreciate is that you have these nice big buttons and a very clear menu structure so that it is much easier to use than what you get in the Frontier. All models get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto too. You only get a wired connection on the cheaper versions of the Frontier, and even still, there are plenty of physical buttons. Toyota didn't go too far and put everything on the touchscreen. After road testing this Tacoma for hundreds of miles, we can definitely say that the interior storage in here, it's great. It's better than the Frontier. First of all, you have a nice clear place right here for your phone, and you've got some vertical storage right here. The cup holders, again, like the Frontier, will hold the smaller bottom ones, but the bigger bottoms, not quite so much. But I've got a shelf for the passenger, and even the door has a shelf, and it has a really deep pocket. Plus, I can flip up the back seat for even more storage. Also, just like the Frontier, every Tacoma includes a power outlet in the bed, but the Toyota has an advantage. If you get the Tacoma with the hybrid engine, you get a more powerful outlet that can go beyond just charging your phone. You've got enough juice for a tailgate party or a campsite.
And speaking of the hybrids, and all of our time with this vehicle, regardless of which engine you get, we just think that the Tacoma is a lot nicer to drive than the Frontier. Both engines feel more powerful, and that gives you more confidence when it comes to passing and merging.
We like the light steering too, and unlike the Frontier, you can get a full suite of modern driver assist and high-resolution cameras. We also prefer the Tacoma if you decide to take your truck off-road. Now, the biggest knocks against the Tacoma are this. Number one, that cramped back seat. It is our least favorite in the class. It is really difficult to get a larger car seat back there, and trust me, if you make your friends sit back there, they're not gonna like you very much. Number two is the price. Now look, only you know your budget, and if you feel this truck is worth the extra money, but we are telling you that this is the better truck. So what do you think? Are you here for the well-rounded and modern Tacoma, or are you all about that traditional V6 and the excellent value of the Frontier? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time.